Hi everyone, it's Rena from Perth IELTS and PTE Tutoring. I'm a private tutor based in Perth, Perth, Western Australia, and today is Monday. I don't know when this video is going to come out, but it's Monday, which means it's YouTube tutorial day. I want to talk about how to plan to study for PTE. Now, it's difficult to know when to start, where to start, or even how to start. So, this is just a bit of a guideline, a bit of a framework for you to work through and understand the steps you need to take once you've decided that PTE is the exam of choice that for you. Okay? So, as usual, it's a tutorial and I will go through quite a bit of things. I will rant on about my personal opinions as always. But yeah, I hope it's helpful and I hope that some of you who are just starting out preparing for the test know how to structure your studies and structure your preparation. All right, see you in a minute. So, of course, while I'm recording, someone has to be cutting the grass, mowing the lawn, but oh well, sorry about the background noise. I don't know how to edit it out, so you're just gonna have to live with it. You might even see him in the background. There he is, our friend. Thanks, mate. Anyways, so you're going to start off feeling really, really lost because you don't even know where to start. You're very overwhelmed. All you know is you have a deadline and you have a set target. Okay? So we're starting from the very beginning. When you find out that you are going to do PTE academic, not core, you're going to do PTE academic and you have to do it by a certain date and you need a certain score. Okay? So if you're lost AF, this is where you start. All right. So I think the main thing you need to know is first step. And the first step is always to know thyself. What do I mean by this? You need to know exactly what your current level is. Okay? You can do that through a few ways, one of which is formal assessment. Take your most recent exam results. If you have already done PTE academic before, look at your previous results, your most recent result, and see where you're at. The other one is to do a self assessment using a Pearson practice test, not an APE Uni mock test, not an Alpha PTE mock test, none of that. No Guruli, I don't want to hear any of it. Self assessment has to be done on a Pearson practice test, okay? Next, you need to know your own weaknesses. Get real with yourself. Are you a fast typer? If you're not, really assess your current typing speed. Next, understand that maybe your grammar, vocabulary, and spelling are probably not very good, and you need to know how much you need to work on it. Next, are you able to focus in noisy spaces? The nature of this exam, and mind you, I'm gonna say it, hopefully, I will beat this out. It is a shitty exam where 15 of you are in a room, all yelling at the same time, all giving your speaking test at the same time, or within 2 to 3 minutes of each other, beginning and starting and ending. Okay? So you need to be able to focus in a noisy space. The other thing you need to know is whether or not you are a fast reader, and when you do read fast, do you understand what you're reading? And finally, listening speed and accuracy. When you listen to something, how fast are you catching all the words? Can you keep up with the pace of speech? And how accurately are you listening? You need to know your own weaknesses first. So, first step is to know exactly what approximate level you are in PTE for PTE. For example, you have sat for PTE and you've got a 50, you need a 65. You know exactly where you're at and how far you need to go. Or do a self assessment by doing a Pearson practice test under test conditions. Test conditions, what do I mean? Please turn your phones off, get your computer out or your laptop out. Don't do it on any other don't do it on a tablet, none of that. Okay? Do a practice test in under exam conditions and see where you're at. And then finally, you need to know your own weaknesses from typing speed, grammar, ability to focus, reading speed, and finally listening speed. Okay? So I can't highlight enough that I want you to start from the bottom of that list on step one. It's really important for you to start working on your weaknesses first before you start working specifically on PTE academic. Now, what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to keep sitting for mock tests on any of the practice platforms. I don't want you to book a test date until you are really ready. And I don't want you to waste any more of the five Pearson practice tests because we're going to use them purely for self assessment. All right? There is no point of you practicing individual PTE question types before you fix the major weaknesses. Now, I've noticed this recently in migrants coming into Australia that typing speed seems to be an issue. Why is this? And I can tell you why. It's because you guys live your lives on your phones. You're not actively using keyboards. For those of you who are applying for university, okay, some of you are all right with typing. But those of you who are applying for work or migration purposes, there's a solid chance your typing speed is not up to scratch. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is you need to improve your typing speed and accuracy from both seen, so stuff that you're reading, and heard sources. Okay? You need to work on your grammar, improve your reading, comprehension, and expand your vocabulary. And this is a big one. The vocabulary expansion is so important. And finally, improve your general listening skills in English. Okay? Notice how none of these actually even cover speaking. Okay? Speaking in English is such a huge part of it. And if you find that you are naturally poor at speaking in English, you know you need to work on it. Okay? There are no shortcuts, there are no cheat codes. I cannot stand that buzzword. It's just such rubbish. Okay? There's no easy way around it. You need to speak clearly enough for the AI software to be able to detect you. Okay? So let's move on to working on our weaknesses. And we're still on step two. Mind you, this is just a four-step process, and we're just going to stick on to step two. So we're going to start working on our weaknesses, and the first weakness I want to point out is typing speed. Okay? You want to be aiming for approximately 40 words per minute or 200 characters per minute. This is the world average. Okay? Now understand this, that even with this, if you meet this world average, you're going to be a lot faster than what you actually need to be. All right? What I need you to do is to start testing your typing speed. That's the first thing you do. Do I type slowly? If you're typing like this, you're probably typing slowly. Okay? Test your typing speed at one of those websites. Over here, I've put typingtest.com. I'm not sponsored, there are no affiliations, but I'm just saying do a typing test. See how good you are at typing from read content. Okay? But I need you to practice both typing from text that you read and typing from text that you hear. It's really important that you build yourself up to be able to do right from dictation question types. Okay? So we're building towards working towards answering the PTE question types, right? But the first thing you need to be able to do is to type fast. Okay? Next. So the next thing, two things we're going to focus on is your basic English grammar and you learning how to focus in chaotic surroundings. Now, basic English grammar, some of you, especially those of you who are starting off at a 40 and you need to get to 55, or you're starting off at a 50 and you need to get 65. I'm not talking about those of you who are already at a 65 and need to get to a 79. Okay? Some of you really still lack basic English grammar skills, right? How do we deal with this? You can join a course, you can do something online, but a lot of stuff online is free. These tutes are free. There are online English courses that are free. Improve your basic English grammar before you move on to trying to answer PTE question types. There is no point in sitting for a language proficiency test if you aren't actually working on your language proficiency. I don't know how many times I've said it, but here we are. Okay, the next one, number three, is pretty important. Learning to focus in chaotic surroundings. This is really, really important. As I said, it is just the nature of the exam. All of you start within 2 to 3 minutes of each other for the speaking test, and all of you are going to be speaking at the same time. You will find quite often there are people shouting, there are people intentionally speaking a little bit louder than they naturally would because they want to drown out all the ambient noise as well. They want to improve their scores, but what it's going to do is, with the noise cancellation technology that they use after the test, right? Everything gets ruined. So just bear in mind, it is a flaw of the test. It's not a flaw of yours, but you need to be able to be able to sit for a test in chaotic conditions. You will have arbitrators and invigilators walking around, right? You will have staff. You will have people sitting next to you and not far away, not even, just literally right next to you. What you can do is to practice listening and speaking with the TV on, or in a room with other people speaking at a normal volume. For example, if you want, you can try turning on your kitchen vent, right? Have the TV on, so there are distractions and there's background noise, and then you practice speaking. Always record yourself and listen to how you sound. Know thyself, okay? It's really important. We go back to step one, know your level, okay? You can even practice outdoors. I really love this one. As you can see, we've got our friend mowing the lawn outside. There is background noise, but you can hear me loud and clear because I am speaking clearly. Every word that I say, you are able to catch. You will find that closed caption does not get confused and it spells each word I'm pronouncing as I'm saying it. Okay? Next up, what do we have? Unfortunately, there's no other way to say it. In order for you to improve your reading speed and comprehension, there is only one way. You need to read as much as possible. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. Whether you are reading short passages, long passages, the newspapers, which is the most difficult, magazines in English, textbooks in English, in your grammar book, sometimes there might be reading passages. The more you read, the more you attempt to understand what you are reading, the better you are going to be at reading, the faster you're going to get. Okay? If you take forever to process a reading, writing, fill in the blanks passage, and it is difficult, you're spending more than 3 minutes each time, you know for sure that your reading speed and comprehension is poor. Okay? On top of that, those questions are made even more difficult if your vocabulary and spelling are very limited. Okay? What I like to tell my students, and I know some of you don't like this idea, but I really, really religiously believe in it, is to have a vocabulary notebook. It's a little pocket book you could have, where you write down new words that you encounter anywhere and everywhere. You're going down the street, you're on the bus, and you see a word and you go, I do not know what that word means. I'm going to write it down. Or you've opened your book and you see a word you don't mean, especially in the beginning parts of all these grammar books, there are lots of complicated words. Go for it. When they're explaining the contents and the teaching methods, you look at the book and you go, are there words in here I don't understand? Write it down in your little vocabulary notebook. Google the meaning or use a dictionary. Be old school, use a dictionary. Okay? Then once you've done that, you understand the meaning. Let's work on our speaking and using the word out loud. Confirm the pronunciation. Ask a native English speaker, or you can even ask Google. Okay? Ask Google to teach you how to pronounce a certain word, and then you revisit the new words in the notebook very, very often. In fact, I suggest you do it once a day. Go through the new words in your book. Remember the new words, okay? And then, if you've got somebody that is a native English speaker with you, or a tutor, or a bunch of mates that all of you are getting ready for the test as well, attempt to use the word, okay? If you can find a way to use the word, you're expanding not just your reading comprehension vocabulary, but your spoken vocabulary. All right? It's just amazing. I love vocabulary workbooks. They work. All right. Oh, we are still on step two. Isn't that crazy? All right, we're still working on our weaknesses. We haven't even started doing PTE related work. We are still working on weaknesses that may hinder our performance in the PTE academic exam. Okay? So we're still on step two, working on weaknesses, and it is the final step within step two, and it is to improve your listening speed and accuracy. I have a method, and I don't know if it works for all of you, but It certainly works for my students, but I work quite intimately with my students. We're one on one, so it might work better with them. What I like to do is, first of all, I tell my students to practice listening to content from everything: radio, YouTube, television, just until your exam test date. Convert everything you've got to English. If you are what if you normally come home, you put on some music and it's your music in your native language, just until your exam test date, please try and listen to some English music. Okay? And English radio stations, of course. The other option is to watch shows and, movies in English. I understand you really love subtitles sometimes. Switch it. You're going to watch the movie in English and you can watch it with subtitles in your own language. Okay? We need to improve the listening speed and accuracy. And by speed, I mean, can you keep up with the conversation can you follow it? Do you understand what's being said and can you keep up? Okay? So the next thing I do is a recipe recall technique. What I'm going to make you do is watch any YouTube cooking video of your choice, whether it's for chocolate chip cookies or for a curry or for a roast dinner. Okay? First thing you do is you watch it with the video, you watch the whole thing. Next, you turn away from the screen or you turn the computer around and you play the video again. Okay? And this time you're just listening to the video. You're only listening. And finally, you recall the steps in the cooking video. You're going to practice both ways. You're going to practice writing down the steps of that recipe, and you're going to practice speaking about the steps. Okay? Imagine having a friend and you're going, so this is how you bake a cake. The first thing you do is did, did, did. Okay? So this will cover both your listening skills and your speaking skills. I don't know if it will improve your cooking skills, but I don't know if some of you are really good cooks. Let me know because I love food from all over the world. Okay? Finally, we've moved away from step 2 of this plan. We're on step 3. Now is when you start doing PTE specific actions. Okay? You're going to start practicing question types in order of their importance. Again, this is a flaw of the exam. Not all questions are equal. Not all questions mark one skill. You need to practice them in order of their importance. For example, in the speaking test, the single most important question is actually read aloud. Okay, so you're going to practice that quite heavily. Next, you're going to do the occasional mock test in different surroundings and at varying fatigue levels. This is really, really important because your ability to focus under test conditions is really important. Now, test conditions are it's a joke with PTE because again there are 15 of you, up to 15 of you in the room at the same time, all starting approximately at the same time. Okay? So practice in different places. Practice at uni, practice at a coffee shop, you can practice at home with the TV on. Just do the occasional mock test just to see how you're going, okay? Next, varying fatigue levels. Now, what do I mean about that? If you tend to get very tired very easily, what happens to your scores? You also need to know what it's like when you are fresh in the morning and you've had a big sleep and you're not too tired. What are your scores like? Again, it brings us back to step 1: know thyself. Know what your body does at different levels of fatigue and energy levels. Okay? I think we can move on. I think we're kind of done. Let's see how we go. So just know that when it comes to questions of importance, I will come up with another video for that because I do have a list and I do have a plan, right? So after you've finished step 2, which is to fix your personal weaknesses, we move on to PTE specific question types and PTE specific actions. Okay? And I want you to maybe take it on board when I put out the next YouTube video, what flow of practice we will have. Okay, so which questions we will start with first and how we go about answering them. All right, close to our deadline, you need to start really gearing up. This is a pre-exam checklist. Okay, Before you book a test date, attempt another Pearson practice test. Okay? Don't book a test until you are ready. Simples. Okay, as the meerkat says, simples. Don't book a test until you are ready. Do a Pearson practice test. See how you went. If there was no improvement from your starting point, where I said know thyself in step 1, we're already at step 4. You book a test date only after you know there's significant improvement and you're very, very close, if not above your required target score. Okay? Then you book a test. And in the meantime, while preparing for that, you repeat steps 2 and 3. Okay? All right. Finally, my loves, it is test day. Okay? You can be sure and you can believe in yourself. You got this. Okay? If you start off with a plan and you stick to the plan, you should see significant improvements and possibly hit the target you need. Okay? Thank you so much for today. Let me zoom out for a second. And there you have it, my friends. We're done. This is it. 4 or 5 steps. You start off by knowing thyself. Step 2, fixing your weakness. Step 3, PTE specific changes and improvements. And then finally, get ready to book a test. And step 5, sit for the test. You got this. I want all of you to be really successful, and I want you to really have a go at not just passing PTE academic, but improving your English proficiency test. Thank you so much for today, and hopefully, I will see you next week. We're coming close to the end of term 1, just like that. It's going to be the Easter holidays here, and who knows? Who knows? All right. Hopefully, next at some point, I'm going to start putting out some IELTS content, but there is so much out there for IELTS and some amazing tutors out there as well. So, you're not missing out on my stuff. Right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.